Breeze again content to just patiently work it down the field. And you know, Johnny Malks always has that in his quiver as well. Just drop that Scoober into the end zone.
Hey folks, it's Johnny here coming to you from right outside of Washington, D.C. And today we're going to learn about the Scoober throw. Let's see it. Our 3 keys to the Scoober are using our 3 whips, our mindset switch from having the belly of the disc, this underneath portion flying down, to having the top be the part cutting through the air. And the third thing is angle control and torque. Let's take a look at each one now. Going over our first point, our 3 whips, we got our wrist, our arm, and our elbow, the torque in our elbow, and the rest of our body. For our wrist, just like the flick, the grip is going to be pretty much identical to the flick, so we're gonna have our thumb on top, putting a little bit of dimple into the rings, and our 2 fingers underneath the rim here, just hugging the outside of the disc. And the wrist is going to be a very similar motion as well for our whip. So this first whip, really going to focus on getting spin on the disc with our wrist, but we're just gonna flip it over and have that spin come this way. Same with the arm, okay? So instead, just like a flick, we wanna create that potential energy by cocking the arm back and then letting it go when we flatten the arm out on release. That's gonna be the same for the Scoober when we're throwing it a little farther. So we're going to cock it a little bit and then release it, release that potential into kinetic energy as we sweep over the top. In terms of the rest of the body, we're not really gonna use that unless we're trying to throw a Scoober super far, which is not the most advisable thing, but sometimes it looks cool and you gotta do it. You're gonna probably wanna step across your body like you're throwing a backhand almost, and then you're going to rotate your core in tandem with the other 2 whips. Second point, mindset switch. So up until now, we've been throwing flicks and backhands, and both have the pro and con of floating more because there's more air that can gather underneath the disc here when we throw it. When we're throwing upside down throws, a pro and con of them is that they slice through the air and drop a lot faster. Keep that in mind and make sure that we're taking that into account when we're seeing windows and throwing to them with upside down throws. So just as a quick little demo here, if I'm throwing just straight ahead of me, we can see the difference between a flick that's gonna float and a Scoober, which is gonna slice. Great, so point 3, torque and angle control. Essentially with a Scoober, the main mistake people make when trying to throw it a little bit farther in their range is that they don't change the angle of release. And if you don't do that, the Scoober's natural tendency is going to be to helix. So start here and helix and fall to the ground like this. So the way we combat that with our angle control is we make sure that we throw it a little bit more vertically the farther that we're throwing it. So if you're throwing it as far as you can in your range, it's going to almost be completely vertical. Now the torque part comes in when we're thinking about power mixed with angle. So the more vertical the Scoober is, the more torque and power we're gonna have to put on it for it to flatten out, because that's gonna be its natural tendency, and whatever angle we started on is going to determine whether it just goes to flat, whether it just goes to a little bit still inside, whether it goes to a complete helix. That's all going to be dependent on angle. And so combining our torque and our angle is going to make for the flattest, spinniest, and most catchable Scoober. So experiment with that. Now we're gonna take a look at a couple of examples of Scoobers thrown at varying distances on the field. We'll move 10 yards back each time. I'm at the 50, Robert's at the 40. So we're starting with 10 yards. Let's see how it goes. Now it's 10. Here we'll take a look at 20. All right, now 30. So as he gets farther away, I'm thinking more and more about my angle control, my torque, combined with those last 2 whips, our arm and our body. A little bit of a helix there. Could have done better with my angle. 40 yards.
Malks trying to direct traffic. Scoober. That's a tough throw. Now in a great attacking position. Another Scoober. Connects. 14-13 Breeze. Malks taking over. Same third Scoober to Wodach. Blows by Saul, gets it back. And he's looking again. Can I use the overhead? Yes, I can. Just throws it over the top of the defense.